The subject of today's video is going to be Brexit. Now, I know a number of you are not going to be interested in that as a topic for a video, but there is some rather interesting scaremongery going on that I would like to touch upon. Before we do that, this is something I'd ordinarily leave until the end of the video, but I want to quickly tell you that tomorrow I will be on the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends Show channel, my second channel, hopefully responding to Prime Minister's questions, which is on probably around about the time this is uploaded. Also, and I'm going to continue to shill this, because I really enjoy what the man is doing to the platform, I have a BitChute channel, and I'm going to link it in the description. If you don't already have an account, please consider subscribing to my channel and also creating an account. I firmly believe that the larger this platform gets, the better it will be for creators like myself and many others that have been hit with rather nasty little restrictions on this platform. Some going so far as to move away entirely from YouTube as a worthwhile platform to put their content on. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's dive into the scaremongery that has come fresh from the Huffington Post of all places. No deal Brexit could see food shortages within days, secret government report warns. And that's not even the worst case scenario. Does anyone remember all the scaremongery that happened by the Remain camp during the Brexit referendum vote? It didn't work then, and it does not work now. Granted, there is one valid point within all of this that does make you wonder what will happen. That point is typically derived from the fact that we import about 30% of this country's food from the EU, and if we can't agree a trade deal with them, then we have a problem. Some might argue now, what about waste food? And that is certainly a relevant point, but it seems to fluctuate between 4 million tons and 18 million tons. So the true value of how much food is wasted is beyond me. And now some can also say, but why don't we just grow more food? Well, that's typically because our land is quite acidic. It's not so easy to grow good crops or get a decent yield from crops in this country. That said, a no deal does not mean that we will go hungry. It does mean that there is a possibility that we're going to struggle a little, but I can think of at least one country with a rather large surplus, with a president that is more than happy to negotiate a decent trade deal with us to accommodate for the losses in food. A shortage of food, petrol and medicine would grip the UK within weeks of the UK leaving the EU without a deal, according to secret warnings drawn up in Whitehall. According to the Sunday Times, which we will address in a moment, civil servants put together 3 scenarios for a no-deal Brexit: mild, severe and Armageddon, which now gives me a fantastic opportunity to get off topic for a second and show you this t-shirt I got yesterday. Larmageddon 2, the Alpacalypse. Meh. I can't do that as well as Skeptic Tampon, but I do try. Worryingly, the warning over supermarkets running out of food within days and petrol shortages hitting within weeks come from the severe model, not the most apocalyptic analysis. A source told the Sunday Times, in the second scenario, not even the worst, the port of Dover will collapse on day 1. I live near Dover, and I thought it had collapsed long ago, certainly looking at it in current year. In any case, and to make this point quite clear now, it is the job of any good analyst to perceive and draw up what would happen if. So this is rudimentary, this is basic. It is not surprising someone has considered what would happen if no deal was reached. And I'm not a fan of the idea of a no deal. I don't see it as beneficial to the EU or to us. Considering what we give the EU, they would be wise to stop with the bullshit. And I call it that because a lot of what they have done has been posturing at best, trying to flex muscles and act like a government. You are not a government, you are a glorified trade deal that has gone past the point of where it was meant to be useful and is now trying to boss other countries around. It does not work on us. It's why we voted against you. Okay, 17.4 million voted against you. The supermarkets in Cornwall and Scotland will run out of food within a couple of days. I just want to say now, Scotland will be fine because no one gives a shit about the people. And Cornwall will live forever because they have an incredible pantry full of Cornish pasties. One Cornish pasty will last a day. They have several trillion hidden in one of the many holes in the ground, and hospitals will run out of medicines within 2 weeks. I find this very hard to believe, but the fact you have put this on paper tells me you at least take this seriously enough to consider it as a possibility. The UK would have to charter aircraft or enlist the military to move supplies to the furthest corners of the country. The source added, you would have to I don't know that word, I'm sorry, medicine into Britain. And at the end of week 2, we would be running out of petrol as well. Well, it was the government's pledge to have, I think, petrol cars or diesel cars, or cars that ran on fuel like that, by 2040, or was it 2020? I think it was 2040. So bring it in, do it sooner. We'll just use the electric cars that use solar stuff, and that'll totally work, right? And I am being sarcastic if you can't tell. I'm going to stand by the earlier point. The point where I don't care what they say, because they have had to consider this to show the government what could happen if a no deal is reached. They have come up with 3 models, each one indicating how bad it could be. But I do want to quickly go to the Sunday Times to see if it references the Armageddon model, because that one interests me quite a lot, for obvious reasons.
15 minutes later.
Okay, so after spending about 15 minutes signing up to their website because you can't view the entire article without registering, don't worry, I have screenshots. There is no reference to the apocalyptic proposal, so instead we're going to have a look at a piece at the bottom of the article. In a detailed analysis of the state of the Brexit negotiations today, the Sunday Times also reveals David Davis, Brexit negotiator, and Theresa May, the crappy Prime Minister, clashed last week over the publication of a white paper on Brexit, with the Prime Minister blocking its release until after the next EU summit on June 28th. David Davis wanted it released by June 14th. UK officials said the June summit was heading for a car crash because no progress has been made since March to devise plan for a long-term deal. I guess until the paper is released, we can't really assume why the Prime Minister blocked it, unless it makes her look really fucking stupid, which seems to be supported by Liberal Democrat Layla Moran, who speaks for the pro-Remain group Best for Britain, who called on the government to publish the documents, saying that we can now see that the government are driving us all towards disaster. What is worse is that they know it too. Now, as we all know, the Prime Minister's preferred customs plan, the partnership idea, has been ditched because it has been deemed unworkable. EU officials have warned Theresa May's negotiator Oliver Robbins that they will embarrass her before the Tory party conference unless she solves the issue of Northern Ireland's border by the end of the summer. What I want to know is, how does the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom solve a problem when she has no intention of enforcing a border? You do. I'm assuming here there has to be a little quid pro quo. You want something in return. To add to this rather annoying process of the negotiations, because we know very little to be honest, the Remain backing MPs have planned to apply for judicial reviews of ministerial directives on Brexit, and to use an obscure parliamentary device to force debate on aspects of the withdrawal bill to delay Brexit. To me, this is all rather irritating and just continues to add to the notion that we are unconvinced we're going to leave. Theresa May published a bloody paper. I want to read it. I know a lot of people want to read it. I want to make many videos on it if it is anywhere near as embarrassing as I think it might be. I have a strange feeling the white paper is just going to be a blank piece of paper. A very literal white paper. All this aside, the negotiations are coming to an end soon. We know this. We don't have a year anymore. And we, the public, and of course MPs as well, deserve to know what has happened, what is going on, and how we are progressing. With very little information being provided, a number of people, myself included, are concerned that the deal will not be a good one, and will probably just keep us attached to the EU in some way, which would defeat the whole point. You, the government, can fob it off as, well, you voted out, but you didn't vote on the terms of the out. Know this, if you do that, you will lose your job. You will lose the next election. You will be utterly vilified. You will be hated more than Tony Blair, which is no mean feat, let's face it. And you, Theresa May, are going to be hated as much as him if you do not deliver on the mandate. It's a shame I didn't get to see the apocalyptic scenario because I think that would be quite interesting. If I find it, I will feature it in my stream, hopefully responding to Prime Minister's questions tomorrow. So I hope everyone has a lovely Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.
I've got downs.
Imagine my shock.